Kill me! I'm here! Kill me!
Hey everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of the 2017 Marvel Netflix series Iron Fist. And I gotta tell you right off the bat, I didn't dig this show all that much. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was a terrible show. I know there's a lot of people who were really against it, and I wouldn't put myself in that category, but I would say that I never really got very invested in any of the characters in this show, with the exception of one. I thought some of the portrayals of characters were really poor, and even some characters that I'd seen in other Netflix series, which I'll get to them later. There's two of them. I really didn't care for the way they were used. I thought there was elements of this show that were really important that they got right, that I think they got wrong. There was a lot of flaws, I think, that really surprised me, because I've really enjoyed the Netflix series up until now. Especially my favorite actually was Jessica Jones, because I loved Kilgrave, but across the board I've really enjoyed them. I thought Luke Cage was a little bit of a mixed bag as well, but I enjoyed it quite a bit more than this, and I enjoyed a lot more of it than I disliked. But there was a lot in here that I thought were shockingly poor. Right off the hop, I'll say that I thought the actor who played Danny, his name's Finn Jones, I thought was not very good. I mean, first off, it's a little bit hard to you gotta grade him on a little bit of a curve, because I think his character was written really poorly. He was an exposition machine. Like, the one thing I did not understand with this series was the sheer quantity of time they decided that they needed to have him explain what the Iron Fist was. And I get it in a lot of shows, right? Like if you're watching like network television or something like that, right? And there's a show that's more episodic, and people are going to come in and come out. You got to kind of do that to a certain degree, because you can expect people to be picking it up on any number, like any random episode when they happen to be like flipping through, right? So you gotta set things up so that they're not lost. But that's not what's happening here. Like, this is a Netflix series. Like, there's nobody who's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna start watching it on episode 8. And the only reason why that would happen is because of the poor reviews that are out there. That some people might be like, well, because there's a lot of people who think that this series, I should say, gets better in the second half. So maybe some people will jump forward. But if your show was good in the first place, you wouldn't have had to do that. And even if you feel like you do need to keep setting things up a little bit, you don't need to do it as often as you did. Like, the sheer quantity of times that his story gets told over and over again, I started really rolling my eyes. And the thing is too, is he was such a blank slate, and you could like his angry. He was just either peace, I must meditate and get my chi together, or like pure like angry guy. There was no real in between, and like it would be like he'd be like, oh, I'm super angry, and then snap his fingers and be like, oh, I'm at peace, and like vice versa all the time. And I didn't find any nuance in the character. And I thought that the one of the major things about his character is his martial arts ability, and this applies to the show as a whole. I was really surprised by how poor I thought that the fight sequences were in this series. Now, I know a lot of people probably love them, and that's fine. I think a lot of people look for different things in fight sequences, and one of the things that I look for is I don't like it when I watch a show or I watch a movie and it looks to me like it's two actors working together to put together this choreographed fight sequence. And there were so many scenes in this where there were fight moments where it really looked like it'd be like, okay, step 1 I do this punch, step 2 I do that, then you hit me with this. Like, it really felt that way to me. And then the other thing I found actually quite appalling was the sheer quantity of shots where it was blatantly obvious that it was a stunt person in there doing the shot. And don't get me wrong, I understand that that's a reality, right? That a lot of these, if they were casting these characters, these actors, based on who could do the martial arts side of it, a lot of time you wouldn't get the performances as good as they are in a lot of shows or movies, right? So I understand that, but at the same time, at least, with your editing or even with digital effects, make it so it's not so blatantly obvious. Like, there's like fight sequences where you can see somebody for like maybe like 2 to 3 seconds, and you can see that their face isn't the person. Like, it feels at times almost as bad as like Flashdance back in the day. Maybe not quite, because the wigs are a lot more convincing, but it was distracting to me. Another major problem with it is the main villain of the show, essentially, I'm not going to say who plays it because I don't want to, like, it's not, I don't want to have a spoiler here, but the main villain, it just didn't do it for me. I found him to be really, I like the actor who plays him a great deal. I've seen him in lots of things, and he's been really good in a lot of things, but he was, again, very... he was very dry, and it was the manner in which he spoke and acted was explained from a storyline point of view, but that doesn't make it very entertaining. Just because it makes sense for the way it's written doesn't make it so you're investing in that character. I'll say this: I thought the best character in the show, bar none, was Colleen Wing. I thought the actress who played her, Jessica Henwick, was really, really good, and I found her character to be by far the most interesting. I liked how there's scenes early on in the show where Danny is like almost kind of like explaining to her about martial arts, like she's some kind of noob idiot, and like her reactions on like her facial reactions are kind of like, all right, idiot, I know, like shut up, you're not explaining this to me like you think you are, and as the show progresses, like she has this very kind spirit to her, but then she's involved in, this is not a major spoiler, it happens very early on, she gets involved in these really brutal fights. I thought her character was actually by far the most interesting, and I thought the actress gave the best performance. On the other hand, there was two characters that came back from other series, one being Claire Temple, played by Rosario Dawson, and then what's her name again? It's the woman that is played, it's Jerry Hogarth, I should say, Carrie-Anne Moss's character, and you saw Claire Temple in Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, and I liked seeing her come back because I really liked her character, but I thought the way that her character was written here was really dumb. Like in Luke Cage, she gets basically involved in a lot of his happenings, if you will, like his fights, and goes and supports him and helps him figure out this stuff. But she's always there more on I'm a nurse and I'm your friend and I care about you and I'm here to try to help you, right? They set up very early on that she's getting trained in martial arts, and in this there's no way that there's been nearly enough time that took place between Luke Cage and this that she's a good enough or an adept enough fighter to be able to make a difference. First off. Second off, at the end of Luke Cage, like her and Luke Cage are, something, so none of that ever gets mentioned, which makes no sense. Like she goes to a far-flung country and there's just to go to help out Iron Fist and Colleen Wing, and first off, if she was gonna go do that, you'd think she'd be like calling up any of the other heroes that she knows that might be able to come and lend a hand. But of course, they can't do that because then that would get to the Defender stuff too early. Or B, like you'd think that she would. There'd be some hesitation there because she has them to think about as well, but it feels like her character's written like she's never been involved in any of the other scenes, any of the other shows, and like that didn't work for me at all. And I also felt like she was just seemed out of character for her, like the way that she was the way in which she got involved in these situations. It didn't seem like she was getting involved in the same manner. Like it seemed like she was going there to be like, I'm gonna kick some ass right alongside you, which isn't something her character can do. And they were going up against the Hand, and she knew that. They were going up against, like she says early, like there's a moment where she finds out that the Hand are involved, and she's very mad because people she's known have been killed. And I understand that might make her be like, oh, I'm gonna come with you to help, but at the same time, she also knows what they're capable of, and she does not have the skills to stand up to them in any way at this point. She shouldn't, anyways, because they set up that she's just started training, and they show her training, and don't get me wrong, she looks like she's advancing quickly, but not at the level that she's gonna go up against these people who've been trained their entire life. I just didn't. I was like, what? Why is she going? That makes no sense. And then like I said, Hogarth is in this, and she's played off like she's written like a very different character to certain degrees with me. Like in the previous series she was in, Jessica Jones, she was much more of a kind of capitalist and much more of somebody who was, she was willing to help out people, but it only in her own interest. And there is she does have her own interest in mind. Like, it's very well set up why she's doing some of the things that she's doing, but she also seems to like care a lot more in a way that was, to me, was kind of inconsistent with her previous characterization. But yeah, it's kind of nitpicking. She's not a big enough part of the show to really get too upset about. But as one of the two characters that are from the other series, you kind of pick up on her a bit more than you would have otherwise. And then I will say this, actually, the only I really liked, I thought Ward was a very interesting character as well. Joy, I thought, was very just not. She was blank to me, like, and blank's not even really the right word. She was just there. She was like white noise. Her character was a lot of the time just there for reactions. She never really had much of an involvement in advancing the plot to a large degree. Like she did, there was definitely some moments where that's not entirely true. There's definitely some moments where she does advance the plot, but they're very few and far between. And most of the time, she's just kind of there to be like the person in the middle of all of these arguments. And I thought that was kind of her character was very minimized in that regard, and I thought the performance was really solid. I really liked the actress. I just thought that the character wasn't done justice by the writing. So those are the main thoughts that I had coming out of Iron Fist. And yeah, it's definitely, to me, it's worth watching, especially because of the involvement of Danny in Defenders, and I'm sure other characters as well. Like, I'd be surprised if Colleen doesn't pop up, but I try not to follow these things because I like to be surprised when I watch the show. But it's not one to write home about. So those are my thoughts on Iron Fist. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen it, what you think about it, how far along you are, that kind of thing. Please hit that like button, hit that share button. Both of them will make it so that people who wouldn't have otherwise seen my stuff may see my stuff, and that would be hugely appreciated. And please, if you're new, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I love talking to people about movies and TV. It means the world to me to have the discourse about the things I'm so passionate about, and I would absolutely be appreciative if you would stick around and find out when my new stuff is coming up so that you can be a part of that conversation. Other than that, have yourself a great day.